Luigi Mangione's legal team is no longer pursuing the psychiatric defense. Listen, they've completely reshuffled the deck. They're like, whatever, he's too hot. People are not going to buy the idea that this is just some, guy who sits in a corner all day. He, picks at his fingernails, and, they're not going to believe that this is some fucking schizo. So, the legal team for Luigi Mangione has abruptly dropped plans to pursue the psychiatric defense. The sudden reversal came in a one-line letter to Manhattan Supreme Court Judge Gregory Caro, just 24 hours after Mangione's lawyers initially signaled that they would argue the 28-year-old Ivy League graduate was suffering from an extreme emotional disturbance episode when he was allegedly gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last winter. By entirely abandoning the psychiatric strategy, though, Mangione's defense sidesteps the high-stakes legal trap, but significantly raises the risk of his upcoming September trial. Because, it's better to go for the defense of, I'm a nut, I don't understand what I'm doing. Put me somewhere where I can learn how to do art. Maybe I get a lobotomy if I'm one of those like Jack Nicholson and the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest types. Those ones. I'm so glad that we had a way to keep people quiet back then. There's no good ways to really keep people quiet anymore. Because we decided lobotomies are suddenly, we can't do them unless we make people take SSRIs. You know what I mean? That's the new lobotomy. Is they get you to take a bunch of pills that don't make you a human anymore. In New York, the mounting an extreme emotional disturbance defense essentially requires the defendant to confess to the physical act of killing, while arguing that a severe mental distress episode should reduce the conviction from murder to manslaughter. Had it been successful, Mangione's potential sentence would have plummeted from life in prison to a maximum of 25 years. However, legal experts note that the strategy would have severely backfired by giving federal prosecutors an open admission of guilt to weaponize in his separate upcoming federal stalking trial, where psychiatric mitigations are not legally recognized. So, the shift in the defense allows them to successfully outmaneuver aggressive demands from the prosecution and the bench. Prior to the withdrawal, Judge Caro had issued a strict immediate deadline forcing the defense to hand over their highly sensitive medical evaluations, warning them and he would not allow a last-minute trial surprise. Prosecutors had repeatedly accused the defense of stonewalling by withholding Mangione's psychiatric files. With the notice officially retracted, the judge immediately reversed his order and to unseal confidential court transcripts and emails, slamming the door on the treasure trove of private medical data just as it was about to be exposed to the national media. We need that. I would love to figure out, I don't know, what's his BPM on average. With the psychiatric play completely off the table, now the central question is shifting through the halls of the Manhattan Criminal Court on whether or not the alternative defense Mangione's team will deploy. What is it going to be when it kicks off September 8th? This is the New York Knicks. Did they win? I didn't keep track. Did they? I know that, hold on. Knicks score. Because I heard that they were playing, and I don't know anything about, did they lose? It looks like they lost. I don't know. I can't read game statistics. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So the high-profile defendant has maintained his plea of not guilty to state murder and weapons charges, even as prosecutors possess a mountain of evidence, including 3D printed pistols, a handwritten journal railing against what he termed greedy healthcare cartel, and in general. Late summer is going to be rough for him. I think legal analysts are right. They're bracing for an aggressive courtroom showdown. It's going to test whether or not the defense can construct a decent path to acquittal without relying on the state of their client's mental health. It's going to be, I don't know where they're going to go from here. What would you, if you throw out your ideas, because I'd like to see one that's better than I'm just kind of crazy.
In a shocking reversal, Luigi Mangione's legal team has withdrawn its psychiatric defense in this New York State murder trial. They announced they'd use it just a day earlier. Mangione faces several felony charges, including second-degree murder, in connection with the fatal shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi joins us now in studio to talk about this. Caroline, good morning. Always great to have you here. A lot was made of the team.
Her last name is Polisi, but she's a law expert. This is a joke. It's like Ellen DeGeneres.
This defense only at the last minute to turn around. How unusual is a moment like this?
This is stunning. It's a bombshell. I've never seen anything like it, frankly.
Really?
But just to contextualize this, this was a shock for us yesterday to hear that he may be mounting this defense. But they actually noticed this under seal in September 2025, meaning they've been preparing this defense for 9 months. It's just that we, the public, learned of it recently. And so, as a defense attorney, you have to fire on all cylinders. So we've been hearing about these evidentiary motions. They've been trying to keep out, that evidence that was found on him in Altoona, the backpack, the gun, things like that. They lost most of those motions. And
what even is the law if we can get to the point where, well, I had a 3D printed gun. Yeah, you have evidence of me being in New York. Yeah, you have evidence of me at some bathhouse or whatever, flirting with a lady. What even, I don't get how we're even at a trial point. Like, just throw him in jail.
Now, the fact that the judge ruled that this was no longer going to remain under seal, essentially that they had to turn over all these materials, I think potentially gives you an insight into why they withdrew it. They didn't want to do that. It also highlights the tensions between the state and federal trials. The federal, they are on a collision course, Errol, because this defense isn't available in the federal trial, and it's set to take place just a month after the state trial. So think about it.
So wait a minute. I think it would be great as the prosecution to go, well, hey, they were about to mount a defense that relied on him pleading guilty. So he clearly knows that he did something.
He's essentially boxing himself in if he were to use this defense. Karen Agnifilo actually said on the record, if he goes with this defense in the state trial, he's essentially admitting to the homicidal act, right? He's not saying, I didn't do it. And so in his federal trial, then every juror that walks into that jury room will have the knowledge that he admitted to actually doing the act. It puts him in an untenable position. So I think those are some of the issues at play here.
And then what happens next, likely?
Well, likely they'll move forward with, I would note they withdrew it for now. They could reserve the right to reintroduce potentially the defense, but now they'll move forward with all of the other evidentiary motions, pretrial motions. I mean,
You know what? I think the defense that I would mount if I was his attorney, I would go, you know what? Yeah, he killed him, but who cares? Let him go because I'm going to mount this defense, the social experiment defense. This man gave up the life of somebody else. I understand that that's not great, but he created such a movement of sociopaths on the internet who were thirsting over a murderer. He created such a Beatles level phenomenon of women who were just like screaming. They were obsessed with the idea of this it was a single guy that had the energy of all four of the Beatles, and not about how he was like a playful guy like Paul or like a serious guy like George Harrison. No, I think that it's more so like the energy of women being attracted to him. I would say, listen, he has done something that we haven't been able to do since the Menendez brothers trial, where essentially, despite the fact that they admitted to killing their parents, and despite the fact that, whatever their father did, whatever their father was up to, whatever the mother knew about, you killed your father, especially given, you also killed your mother when admittedly there's evidence of what she was up to being like, maybe she hit him every now and then. Maybe she did some like body examinations and whatnot. Yeah. The murders happened when these gentlemen were 18 and up. So let's not pretend as though these people were children who were just victims and they were set upon themselves. They thought their parents were going to kill them. They were Hollywood types. They were Beverly Hills kids who, grew up with a decent lifestyle, and they didn't want to abandon the lifestyle. They didn't want to abandon the money. They did, even if it meant they were. And I know many people they're going to go, that's not a very sympathetic view. That's not a very sympathetic way to. I don't care. I'm not very sympathetic for people who take justice into their own hands in that way. I'm not sympathetic to that. I understand that you have accusations against your father. Bring it up in court. Bring it up in court because you're more likely to get a bag. You're more likely to get actual justice, instead of grabbing shotguns and blowing your parents' head off. It's a little much. But the same way that I think that, you know, the Menendez brothers were kind of significant in history. It would be great to have them out, like how OJ was out of jail, even though he got convicted for another thing. I think it was just like, what did OJ go to jail for again? Because I think it was like felony robbery or something like that. No, yes, he went to prison in 2008 for leading an armed robbery and kidnapping at a Las Vegas hotel and casino in September 2007. He and a group of men held a sports memorabilia dealers at gunpoint to steal items that Simpson claimed had belonged to him. So, you know, I think that just like it was nice to have him around and on Twitter for the last few years of his life, I think it would be the same to have the Menendez brothers out. And Luigi Mangione, give him 45 years. Give him something like that to where he can come out at the, like, we'll be scrolling through Instagram or TikTok in 2060 and we're going to go, holy shit, he's out. He's like, he's on Twitter and he's going, I have a few debts to settle or something like that. And you're like, oh shit, he better not be going after another healthcare CEO. Ladies and gentlemen,